We live in a world where fun has been elevated to the status of a moral imperative. Everywhere we turn, we are bombarded with messages telling us that the key to happiness, to a meaningful life, is to maximize our enjoyment. Social media shows us curated highlights of other people's adventures, vacations, and laughter-filled gatherings. The advertisements promise us that the next gadget, experience, or indulgence will bring us the joy we crave. Even our downtime has become a performance, a competition to see who can have the most enviable experiences. But here's the paradox: the more we chase fun, the more miserable we seem to become. Why is that? Why does the pursuit of fun, a concept that should bring us joy, so often leave us feeling hollow? To understand this, we must first question what we even mean by fun. Is fun simply a momentary escape, a fleeting burst of pleasure? Or is it something deeper, something that enriches our lives in a meaningful way? If we reduce fun to mere entertainment, to distractions that help us pass the time, then it becomes something shallow, an endless search for the next high, the next thrill. But if fun is supposed to be deeper than that, why does it so often feel like a treadmill, an exhausting cycle of seeking but never truly finding?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
The problem begins with how we frame fun in our minds. We treat it as a goal, a destination to reach. We think, if I can just have enough fun, then I'll be happy. But there's a fatal flaw in this way of thinking. Fun is not something you can capture or hold on to. It is fleeting by nature. The more desperately you try to grab it, the more it slips through your fingers. Imagine trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. The harder you grasp, the less you hold. This is why the pursuit of fun so often leads to frustration. We are chasing something that, by its very nature, cannot be chased. And yet, we continue to chase it. Why? Because we have been conditioned to believe that fun is the ultimate measure of a life well lived. We equate fun with success, with status, with proof that we are doing life right. This is why people feel compelled to broadcast their fun on social media, to show the world that they are living their best lives. But what happens when fun becomes performative, when it is no longer about genuine enjoyment, but about proving something to others? It becomes hollow. The laughter is forced, the moments are staged, and the joy is replaced by anxiety, an anxiety that whispers, "Am I having enough fun? Am I showing the world how happy I am?" This anxiety points to a deeper issue. The pursuit of fun is often a mask for something else. When we chase fun, what are we really chasing? Is it distraction from our problems? Is it validation from others? Is it a way to fill the emptiness we feel inside? Fun, in this sense, becomes a form of escapism, a way to avoid confronting the deeper questions of our lives. But escapism is a trap. The problems we avoid don't disappear, they fester. And the longer we avoid them, the more they grow until they consume us. So while we are busy chasing fun, what we are really doing is running from ourselves, from our fears, from the things we do not want to face. But let's go even deeper. Why do we feel the need to escape in the first place? What is it about our lives that makes us so desperate for distraction? Perhaps it is because we have built a culture that prioritizes instant gratification over true fulfillment. We are told that happiness is something we can buy, something we can achieve with the right combination of material possessions, experiences, and social approval. But this kind of happiness is fragile. It depends on external circumstances, on things that are beyond our control. And when those circumstances change, as they inevitably do, we are left feeling empty and lost. True fulfillment, on the other hand, does not come from chasing fun. It comes from engaging with life in a way that is meaningful and purposeful. It comes from facing challenges, from growing, from contributing to something larger than ourselves. But these things are not always fun. In fact, they are often difficult, uncomfortable, and even painful. And this is where the real irony lies. The things that bring us the deepest sense of joy are rarely the things we think of as fun. They require effort, sacrifice, and a willingness to endure discomfort. But they also bring a sense of satisfaction that no fleeting pleasure can match. So, here is the question we must confront. Are we willing to trade shallow pleasures for deeper fulfillment? Are we willing to stop chasing fun and start seeking meaning? This is not an easy choice. It requires us to let go of the idea that life is supposed to be one continuous party, one endless stream of entertainment. It requires us to accept that true happiness is not always fun, and that fun is not always happiness. But let's not romanticize this choice. Rejecting the pursuit of fun does not mean rejecting joy or pleasure. It means rethinking what those things truly are. It means finding joy not in distractions, but in engagement, in being fully present with whatever we are doing, whether it is exciting or mundane. It means discovering pleasure not in excess, but in balance, in knowing when to indulge and when to refrain. And it means redefining fun not as something we chase, but as something we allow to emerge naturally when we are living in alignment with our values and priorities. At this point, we must also ask how much of our pursuit of fun is really about fear. Fear of boredom, fear of being alone with our thoughts, fear of missing out. These fears drive us to fill every moment with activity, to avoid stillness at all costs. But what if boredom is not something to fear, but something to embrace? What if being alone with our thoughts is not a punishment, but an opportunity? What if missing out is not a failure, but a reminder that we cannot and do not need to do everything? The truth is, the search for fun often blinds us to the joys that are already present in our lives. In our rush to find the next big thrill, we overlook the quiet pleasures of the everyday, the warmth of the sun on our skin, the taste of a simple meal, the sound of a loved one's voice. These moments may not be fun in the way we typically define it, but they are deeply nourishing. They remind us that happiness is not something we have to chase, it is something we can cultivate, here and now, in the present moment. This is where we must pause and reflect. If the endless pursuit of fun is making us miserable, what should we pursue instead? The answer is not simple, because it is not the same for everyone. But perhaps it begins with a shift in focus from seeking pleasure to seeking connection, from avoiding discomfort to embracing growth, from chasing fun to cultivating meaning. This is not an easy path, but it is a path worth walking. Because in the end, what we are truly searching for is not fun, but fulfillment. And fulfillment is not something we find, it is something we create. If we're honest, many of us treat fun as a kind of currency. We measure our days, our weeks, and even our lives by how much enjoyment we've extracted from them. But this transactional view of life, where every moment is judged by how pleasurable or entertaining it was, it comes with a cost that is often invisible until it has already taken its toll. The endless pursuit of fun doesn't just leave us feeling empty, it also erodes something far more important, our sense of purpose. To see why, we need to understand the delicate relationship between pleasure and meaning, and how prioritizing one often comes at the expense of the other. On the surface, it seems like fun and meaning should go hand in hand. After all, isn't a meaningful life one that brings us joy? But the truth is more complex. Fun and meaning don't always overlap, and in many cases, they are in direct conflict. Meaning often arises from struggle, from effort, from doing things that are difficult but worthwhile. Fun, on the other hand, is typically associated with ease, with instant gratification, with avoiding discomfort. When we prioritize fun above all else, we risk neglecting the very things that give our lives depth and significance. Think about the activities that bring you the most immediate pleasure. Maybe it's scrolling through social media, binge watching your favorite shows, or indulging in comfort food. Now think about the activities that bring you a sense of purpose. Maybe it's working on a challenging project, spending quality time with loved ones, or contributing to a cause you care about. The first set of activities is easy, effortless, and instantly rewarding. The second set is harder, requires more from you, and often doesn't provide immediate gratification. But which set leaves you feeling more fulfilled in the long run? This is the paradox we face. The things that bring us the most pleasure in the moment are often the least meaningful, while the things that bring us the most meaning often require us to delay gratification. And yet, we live in a culture that constantly tempts us to choose the easy path. We are surrounded by technologies and conveniences designed to make life as effortless as possible. We are encouraged to treat ourselves, to live in the moment, to chase pleasure wherever we can find it. But this constant pursuit of pleasure comes at a cost. It trains us to avoid discomfort, to seek shortcuts, to prioritize ease over effort. And in doing so, it robs us of the opportunity to grow, to contribute, to create something that lasts. Let's consider what happens when we prioritize fun over purpose. At first, it feels good. We feel light, carefree, unburdened by the weight of responsibility. But over time, something begins to shift. The fun starts to feel repetitive, even empty. The moments of pleasure become smaller and harder to sustain. And in the quiet spaces between distractions, a sense of unease begins to creep in. We start to feel disconnected not just from others, but from ourselves. We wonder why we feel so restless, so dissatisfied, even though we've been doing all the things that are supposed to make us happy. The answer lies in the nature of purpose. Purpose is what gives our lives coherence, direction, and meaning. It is what anchors us, what makes us feel that our actions matter. But purpose is not something that can be found in the pursuit of fun. Purpose requires effort, commitment, and often sacrifice. But it requires us to face challenges, to endure setbacks, to push through discomfort. And these are precisely the things that the pursuit of fun teaches us to avoid. But let's go deeper. Why do we avoid discomfort in the first place? Why are we so quick to choose the easy path, even when we know it won't satisfy us in the long run? Perhaps it is because we have been taught to equate discomfort with failure, with something to be avoided at all costs. But discomfort is not the enemy. Discomfort is a sign that we are growing, that we are stepping outside our comfort zones and engaging with the world in a meaningful way. The pursuit of fun, by contrast, keeps us stuck in a narrow bubble of comfort, where growth is impossible and meaning becomes elusive. At this point, we must ask an essential question: what kind of life do we want to live? Do we want a life that is shallow but easy, or a life that is challenging but meaningful? This is not a rhetorical question. It is a choice we must make every day, in every decision we face. Do we spend our time scrolling through distractions, or do we dedicate it to something that matters? Do we seek out fleeting pleasures, or do we invest in relationships, projects, and causes that require effort but bring lasting fulfillment? Let's be clear, the pursuit of fun is not inherently bad. Pleasure has its place in life, and there is nothing wrong with enjoying moments of lightness and joy. But when fun becomes our primary focus, when it takes precedence over purpose, it begins to hollow us out. It leaves us chasing one high after another, always seeking but never truly finding. And in the process, we lose sight of what really matters. This is where the hidden cost of fun becomes most apparent. By prioritizing pleasure over purpose, we weaken our ability to endure discomfort, to face challenges, and to pursue goals that require sustained effort. We become less resilient, less capable of handling adversity. And this, in turn, makes us more dependent on fleeting pleasures to fill the void. It is a vicious cycle, one that leaves us feeling increasingly disconnected from ourselves and from the world around us. But there is a way out of this cycle. It begins with a shift in perspective from seeking pleasure to seeking meaning, from avoiding discomfort to embracing it as a necessary part of growth. This shift requires us to ask hard questions. What do we truly value? What kind of legacy do we want to leave behind? What are we willing to sacrifice in order to live a life that feels meaningful and true? The answers to these questions will not be the same for everyone. But what matters is that we begin to ask them, that we begin to prioritize purpose over pleasure, depth over distraction. But this does not mean rejecting fun altogether. It means redefining it not as an escape from life, but as a natural byproduct of living in alignment with our values and priorities. It means finding joy not in the avoidance of effort, but in the effort itself, in the process of creating, contributing, and growing. Let's end with a challenge. The next time you find yourself chasing fun, stop and ask what you are really chasing. Are you seeking distraction, validation, or escape? Or are you seeking something deeper, something that will nourish your soul rather than just entertain your mind? The more honestly you can answer this question, the closer you will come to understanding what truly matters to you. And in that understanding, you may find a kind of joy that no fleeting pleasure can ever match: the joy of living a life that is rich with purpose and meaning.